Hey guys, before we get started, I have an apology to make. So, long story short, this week while recording and editing, I have had all kinds of computer issues. And long story short, my audio was lost. I've worked with Nate. There is absolutely no way for me to get it back. We tried a bunch of different workarounds and whatnot, but it cannot be recovered. It is gone. On the plus side, small silver lining, whenever we record, I always do a backup recording. Now, the problem with this recording is all four of our tracks are in one, so I can't do a nice edit and get rid of background noises and stuff like that. Barely no editing is going to be taking place on this just because I am not able to, unfortunately. Also, unfortunately, the way I record stopped. So this was supposed to be about an hour and 45-minute show, and essentially the last 45 minutes got cut off. For whatever reason, the program I used just stopped recording. And because of that, we lost the show, sales forward. So sales, Game Pass talk, milestones, and contests. Sorry, guys. That's the best I can do. I've tried everything that we can think of, but there's just no way to get it back. So, yeah, this one was on me. This was, Fufu's fault. Don't blame L on this one. This was not his fault for the first time. So, yeah. Anyways, here we go. Hello and welcome to Achievement Hunting 101. I'm FuFuCuddilyPoof and this is level 177. Joining me tonight is rawkerdude.
Ho, ho, ho.
KooshMoose.
Merry Tuesday.
And Big L.
Eat the change, you filthy animal.
Yes, Christmas time. The best time of the year. And of course, the best Christmas movie Nate apparently hates.
Yeah. A Christmas Story.
Oh, that is by far and away not the best Christmas movie. I hate that movie too.
We talked about that last year.
Did we?
Talked about it recently. I listened to it. You said that you hate that it's on all day long.
Oh, yeah, I did say that. No, I'm talking about his dislike for Jingle All the Way.
I mean, that's not a real movie.
Well, did you? Okay, I know the answer, but I'm just going to ask anyway. Have you guys ever seen It's a Wonderful Life? Or
it doesn't have enough color for me.
Oh my god!
I thought you were gonna.
Yeah, there's not enough color, so I don't really cared about it. I've seen bits and pieces.
Well, guess what, guys? If you go on Amazon Prime, they actually have both a color version and a black and white version. So you have no more excuses.
Donna Reed.
Yeah, but
color?
do they say it's turbo time?
Oh God!
No, but they have Buster.
Should I see it, Nate? I've never seen it on purpose because.
Wait, you've never watched It's a Wonderful Life?
It's a Wonderful Life is a fantastic movie.
It's by all accounts very depressing. So I don't know if I want to see it.
I mean, I don't think it's depressing.
No,
I've seen it in my life. It's not one that I seek out.
Okay.
I've never sat down and watched it all the way through, but I've seen bits and pieces here and there to the point where it's like, yeah, I know everything that happens.
I've seen it more than I've seen The Matrix.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Here we go, Neo.
Fair.
Is that your next movie?
I wouldn't say it's a must see. You don't have to see It's a Wonderful Life, but I think at your age, Elle, you probably should have seen it.
It's one of those that was
you didn't
always
have a lot of
on
options back then.
It was always on TV, and I just
It's amazing that L, being the gatekeeper that he is in all things, has not watched It's a Wonderful Life.
I will if you want me to. See,
Yeah, that should be on your
I won't immediately reject it just because it's something I'm not familiar with, like you guys do.
Now, Corey, you said we didn't have many options. That reminds me of something that happened this week. I was talking with a coworker about I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh yeah, I used to watch those reruns.
And I was like, hey, when I watched it, I thought it was new. But it turns out the series was only from like 65 to 70. I was born in 75. So the only way I could remember this is if I saw it when I was like, I don't know, let's just say 10.
Negative.
Right? So like, that's so weird. Like TV shows today, I don't think will be syndicated, 15 years after they went off the air. I just don't think they're going to do that. I'm just like, things are very different now.
Yeah,
They
probably
do
not.
syndicate them, but it's just easier to go on a streaming service.
Yeah,
They-
well,
they
streaming
do-
services mess that up.
Like
Yeah,
if
who wants
you-
cable?
Like if you're a wrestling fan and you turn on AEW wrestling and you see a commercial for Doctor Strange, and you're like, I could just go on Disney Plus and watch this. Why would I want to watch the TV version with commercials? But they're still out there. They syndicate shows and movies. It's
That's
weird.
because they're still old people in America.
I guess so.
Once they die off, it's us all going to be streaming, and then all the commercials will come to streaming, and we'd be right back in the same boat.
Like The Office is still on Comedy Central every day.
Like in 10 years, will Game Pass put My Friend Pedro back on? Like that
The
thing.
7th time.
Every 6 months.
Yeah.
And you had to bring it back to gaming. All right.
I had to try.
Well, speaking of things that we've been
We
watching,
are going to award you for that. Good job, sir.
Oh.
the Game Awards was this week. Corey and I streamed it, and Elle was there for about 5 minutes or so playing video games and not paying attention to the actual awards. But
What?
Yeah, my point exactly. But that will be this week's topic of discussion. And there was like a bunch of announcements and some awards. And I mean, who really actually cares about the awards? But we wanted to know, do you guys agree or disagree with what was given out as an award? And what was the thing that you're most excited for that was announced or what have you? Corey, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so as we asked people for their takes on the awards, no matter what part of it was, Chewy came back with the reveals part, the announcements, which is definitely my favorite part of the, quote unquote show. He says he finds it weird now that some of the year's biggest reveals and updates are part of the award show instead of something like E3. He said it would be like putting movie announcement trailers in the Oscars. Having said that, he is really looking forward to Alan Wake and Star Wars games. Those are good stories, regardless of where they are shown. I think it's good to, put the news at different ends of the year. So, I mean, E3 was 6 months ago. It's time for another wave of announcements. I don't have like a number or anything. I didn't count them, but there were definitely a few dozen announcements and reveals at the show. I think that while, you could save something like that for Gamescom that usually happens in August, that's a little too close to E3. And to be honest, we get a lot of like smaller games or smaller devs at something like the award show. I don't know. I like it. I think it actually, it's one reason to watch the awards for one thing. I would not watch it otherwise. And I think that's probably why they do it. 100%. They know that people would not tune in for a 3-hour advertisement because they definitely force those commercials down your throat. And nobody cares about the awards because they're really game of the last 10-month awards. And yeah. So I like the announcements personally.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, like you said, the real reason anybody tunes into this is because it is the winter E3. And some of the biggest games do get announced at the Game Awards.
It's also not console specific, although there are some exclusives that are shown. It's one kind of like everybody comes together kind of deal. So we did see games that did not have the Xbox logo on them, and we did see some games that really didn't have any like marketing rights or anything like that. So I think that's another thing to think about because these companies are paying for that stuff. to where the Game Awards is, it's like a free for all, right?
Yep.
So, anyways, like I said, Chewy really liked the Alan Wake thing. If you haven't seen that, they can basically confirmed Alan Wake 2 is in the works,
which is huge.
Probably won't see it until 2023 at the earliest, and it's going to be survival horror. So a little bit of change on the genre. And then he mentioned Star Wars games. The only one that I remember, and so you have to correct me or refresh my memory, is they had one called Star Wars Eclipse.
Yes.
And it was completely cutscene, completely CG. Okay. And it looked super good. And we found out that it's being developed by some developer that has worked with Sony. And so this one had no marketing, Quantum Dream or Quantum something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And so right. I don't remember this one having any kind of console stamps on the end of it, but this is the team that made Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, and those are PlayStation exclusives. So while something like it's having Star Wars as an exclusive on one side seems weird, we might not get that game, but it's also going to probably be a very story driven game and probably not a lot of action as much as I know of those other games that I haven't played. So I would not expect something like Fallen Order 2 out of this. It's probably going to be very narrative driven and things like that.
How
keeping along? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how hard is your heart gonna break, Nate, if Star Wars Eclipse is a PlayStation exclusive?
It depends. I need to see more. I didn't see enough there to be like, oh, I should get excited about this, because what I really wanted to see was Star Wars 1313 come back, and that's probably never going to happen. Never. And I'm just setting myself up for depression and such. But if it's something like Detroit Too Human or whatever, well, spoiler, I have a PlayStation, so I could play it, but I'm not like super jazzed about it. I would be upset that I couldn't get achievements. I'd be a little bit upset, but I wouldn't feel like I needed to play it right away. That's my feeling right now. I'm sure that will change as it becomes more of a reality.
Okay. What were you going to say, Corey?
Just to throw some of my favorite announcements since Chewy went with his. I'm ecstatic that we finally have a date for Tunic. That's the game that's been in the E3 news feeds for years. We have a date, Nate. It's going to be here within 3 months.
Yeah,
we're going to have Tunic.
It's going to get delayed.
Yeah.
I mean, if I put it on my fantasy critic for 2022, it will be delayed.
Until it's on my Xbox, it does not. The date means nothing. So
100%.
So that one was exciting for me. As far as like brand new games that I am looking forward to, just real quick, just to knock out a couple. I'm actually kind of wanting to play this Rumbleverse game, which is a game being made and published. It's not being made by Epic, but they're publishing it. Iron Galaxy, the people who made Killer Instinct, are creating it. But basically, it's like Fortnite, but melee only, and there's no building from what I can tell. So it's very cartoony. The menus look pretty much identical to Fortnite. It's going to be Battle Royale, like 40 people or something. Free to play. Going to come out in February. There is achievement list out for it already, and you can buy into an early access pack, but nobody's unlocked an achievement. So as far as I know, early access on Xbox is not a thing yet. They don't have a date for that. It does just say February on the store page. So I don't know. I'm trying to get into it, but that's one that I am looking forward to. I am excited for the Matrix. Well, it's not a game. They did a Matrix experience, and another patron mentioned that. So maybe we can get into that later. And then the only other thing that like I tried to get Kenny into was DokeV. He's not sold yet.
Playing that.
I'm going to get you to play DokeV.
You're not going to get me to play that.
That game was a bad showing because it was a music video. I got to get you to watch like the real thing.
I hated everything about that trailer.
Oh, all the better.
I really don't know how that could have been of a less of a Kenny trailer.
Well, we're still going to get you to play it regardless. And then the last thing I want to mention, the last announcement is Sonic Frontiers. All we got was this like CG, maybe like a minute 40 teaser, but Sonic Frontiers is the next game that Sonic Team is working on.
Looks pretty.
And from what we can tell, it is open world esque, and that really intrigues me.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be open world, or more like Sonic Adventure DX, where it had like the hub worlds kind of a thing.
I didn't play that, but even that, I would welcome that. Like, I don't really care for 3D Sonics. We've talked about it before, but this one, if it could be like an open world, I can go wherever. That might sway me a little bit. I am excited to see more. And it just says late 2022. It'll probably get pushed back, so we're a while away. Which is my other hot take. Some of these things had no dates. I don't want to see your stuff unless you have at least like a window locked down that's no more than 9 months away. That's just my personal preference.
Yeah, that should be how long it takes to create something.
I'm not saying you have to create it, but I don't really need to. I don't need to know about it.
I agree. I go back and forth. I kind of like the, hey, this is what we're working on. But then I also very much appreciate the, Playground Games approach, where it's like, hey, we're working on Fable, and we have heard nothing from them. And we probably won't hear anything from them until it's just like, hey, it's coming up here in a couple of months. Which I very much appreciate.
That's how they need to do. I think they've learned from Halo, so hopefully they have.
As much as I hate those teasers that are just like the title of the thing and just like a zoom in or whatever, that's the right way to do it if you're going to do it, because you show that pre-footage and then you get your expectations up, and the game, who knows what that game is. So yeah, I would love for them to just tell you all about it when it's within a month or two or a few months. But
and I wasn't even going to talk about it, and I don't think I'm taking anything away from you guys, and I'll just mention this and I get done, like, because it's on my screen now, but they had finally announced a date for the Cuphead DLC. Cuphead came out like 5-6 years ago, it feels like.
4 years.
We've known about DLC for a long time. It's finally coming out in June of next year. So we're still 6 months away from that. And it's just DLC.
They said, in the little spotlight they did, that it was like, apparently making games is hard, and telling people what you're going to do before you actually know how to do it is difficult, and you probably shouldn't do that.
They are right in my book.
Yes. So who knows? Maybe this is going to be like a whole new game more than it is DLC.
It kind of sounds like it will be big.
Yeah.
A true, like, I don't know, I don't want to call it expansion, but maybe an expansion. They called it that at least. So I don't know.
I mean, it's been 4 years, so
don't tell me about your stuff if it's too far away.
What's that Cuphead DLC called, Corey?
It's called, I'm glad you asked. It's called the Delicious Last Course.
Mm-hmm.
You can also just say DLC for short.
You see what they did there? Yeah. In case you didn't see what they did there.
I see what they did there.
Kenny did not see what they did.
Maybe he did now.
They've talked about that before.
Oh, Kenny.
They've mentioned that before.
So Nate, you don't like when they show like a black screen and then you just see like a random armor and then you see Wonder Woman is coming, and
that's the actual one that I was thinking of. That, like, while I don't like it, I prefer that over like some sort of CG of her running in, and you're just like, okay, well, what type of freaking game is that? Is
I
this
agree.
like, is Wonder Woman just going to be having conversations with people? Is Diana Troy, or is she going to be going and kicking butt? Like, what game is this going to? Yeah, when they're ready, tell me all about it. But I don't want to sit here, 4 years out to find out, oh, this is a PlayStation exclusive, and I don't care. That sort of thing.
Really, just an LA Noire DLC, and it makes the game really easy.
Doubt.
Wonder Woman is definitely a game that I'm very much excited for, as that is my favorite DC superhero. So. Knowing that a game is coming, I love it.
Not prepared for that comment.
I was not prepared for it when he said it on the stream.
Yeah. I feel like I've said that multiple times, and everyone is shocked when I say that.
Well, here's the thing: as I look at your room behind you, and no one, the listeners can't do this, but I see no Wonder Woman paraphernalia anywhere. Paraphernalia.
There's an invisible lasso right there.
Darn, you beat me to the joke.
Oh, did I ruin it? I'm sorry.
Well, invisible jet. I mean, I have a Wonder Woman poster over there.
Oh, okay.
I have a bunch of
on his
comics.
own background.
Pointed to the ceiling over his bed.
It's on.
That's
It's on the.
awkward.
It's on the.
That's awkward.
Okay. All right.
Ignore
They
the
have
stains.
Superman and Wonder Woman, but Brooke's side is Superman and his is Wonder Woman.
Brooke's side would be Batman. That's her favorite hero. He's got money. That's the attraction there.
Oh, Brucey. Arutarek said, "I'm very happy that It Takes Two got Game of the Year. Congratulations to It Takes Two. I haven't played it, but I've heard nothing but good things about it from friends in other various places. For a show that calls itself the Game Awards, though, far too many of the awards are done either on the pre-show or just a small offhand awards. Yes, I noticed that as well. I wasn't paying full attention the whole evening. The show did start at 1 a.m. for me. But I think maybe 5 or 6 awards were only fully presented, though I may be wrong on that. I get that the trailers and reveals are big things and probably why most people watch it now, but there were a lot of things shown that didn't really warrant being part of such a show. For example, Among Us VR and Fall Guys costumes. That's what the kiddies like. There's many things like that if they were removed would have given more time for the actual awards. With all that said, it was also a very front-loaded show, and past the first hour, anything announced just didn't feel that special compared to Star Wars and Wonder Woman. Sure, the Matrix thing was good to look at, but it didn't really feel last trailer of the show worthy. All right, that's a lot to unpack there. Arutarek. Well,
I agree with.
yeah, he
a lot of
seems
what he
to
said.
have actually wanted to see awards on an award show.
You're
imagine
like
that.
one of like 7 people.
Novel concept.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if he wants to see that. I mean,
Nah.
yeah,
I want to see
totally get
awards too. Like
yeah,
I like seeing who gets Game of the Year or this or that.
yeah.
But I mean, in all honesty, if it wasn't for the trailers, though, I probably wouldn't watch it at all. I would just get the article the next day and say who won, and that would suffice for me.
It would definitely be something that I put on the side, and it's there while it's happening. But I would not be paying as much of attention without the trailers.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't care. I probably wouldn't care unless it was a game that I was really interested in up for a particular category, and then I'd probably just tune out until that came up just to see them, get played off early before their acceptance speech is over,
I will say sorry.
which they don't do right now.
Yeah.
They're just like, and here's the thing. Oh, and here's another trailer.
Pretty much. The one thing that he says for game or for a show that calls itself the Game Awards, far too many are during the pre-show or just offhand awards. I 100% agree with that. This really is something like, oh, hey, here's trailers. Oh, and we'll do some Game Awards more than here's Game Awards and some trailers. Like, it's kind of crazy that you have the Game Awards and then there's a bunch of them during the pre-show. Like, if it's an award, you would think that they all deserve their own attention, not just, this game won this. Oh, now this game won this. And now this game won this. Or during the pre-show when no one's even watching. Like, obviously, some awards you're going to care about more than others, like Game of the Year, for instance.
Oh, did you have a favorite thing? I know you read Eroterics, but did you have a thing?
I was just going to point out quickly that I also have not played It Takes Two yet, but this is, to me, I'm happy for this game winning because
I was shocked.
that's the type of game Michelle and I would play, and it's by the dude who did Brothers and A Way Out, which are both 2 amazing games. He's batting 1,000 as far as I'm concerned. That's that Joseph dude. Joseph.
They wouldn't let him talk. They wouldn't give him a mic. They've learned from their mistakes.
I mean, A Way Out is, I feel like, super underrated. I think it's great. So I look forward to It Takes Two. I'm sure a lot of people are put off by the fact that you have to play co-op, but that's the whole idea. As far as my favorite stuff, nothing really. I know there's I'm surprised Corey didn't mention, unless he's waiting, the Sonic 2 movie trailer. And
not just Corey.
And the Halo TV series and stuff like that. I mean, I was actually going to mention the Cuphead DLC. That looked cool. There's a game that gave off Scott Pilgrim vibes called Thirsty Suitors. Where you battle your exes. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a Scott Pilgrim to me. But you guys pretty much mentioned all the big hitters, except maybe Hellblade 2. You guys mentioned pretty big hitters as far as I'm concerned.
Hellblade 2 looks phenomenal. When you look at all these trailers, there's really two games that really just stand out as next-gen games. The first was Senua Sacrifice 2, and then the Matrix tech demo thing. Senua Sacrifice, it was like a 6-minute trailer, which, first of all, it was way too freaking long. I imagine most people got bored. I know it's not necessarily something that, like, I look at and I go, oh, this is interesting, but I'm not like, oh, I have to play it. I was more just amazed by how realistic that game looks. Like,
But here's the thing, just a small correction. You said 6-minute trailer. That was gameplay.
yes,
And-
6-minute gameplay, yeah.
Which, I mean, it did look amazing, but I think I said it on the stream. It was a little long in the tooth.
Yes. Like, if you haven't seen it, just, even if you don't watch the whole 6 minutes, just take a few minutes and just look at how realistic this game is, especially when they go into this cave and they have, like, torches, and the way that the fire is going and then it reflects in the water, and then as the water ripples, it just perfectly mirrors the fire. It is unbelievable to look at, and it's gameplay. It's not a CGI trailer. It is gameplay. It is absolutely remarkable, and very much to that same thing is that Matrix tech demo, or whatever you want to call it. It is unbelievable what the next gen consoles are able to do.
Yeah, and so just to hit the Hellblade thing again, absolutely no date on that, but they're showing gameplay at that point. So it's like, why you do that? But yeah, Aruderick mentioned like the Matrix thing was good to look at, but he didn't feel last trailer worthy of the show, and I kind of agree. Like, it didn't feel like it should be the last thing they showed, but I think they showed the wrong thing. If I wasn't able to download the experience, is what they're calling it, because of space. I haven't gone back and done it yet because I've actually watched somebody play it that night, and man, that looks so good. Like, if you think Hellblade looked good, this Matrix experience, this, I guess it's Unreal Engine 5 or something like that. I mean, it looks like you're looking out the back of a car in real life, and then it turns into a video game. It's like ridiculous how realistic that looks. And I think that is, end of the show worthy, but they didn't show that. I think they showed the wrong parts.
It's also that they had Keanu Reeves in it. So therefore,
he's breathtaking.
Yeah, exactly. That's end of the night worthy, I would think.
How do you know? You've never seen Matrix. You've probably never seen Speed.
Bill and Ted is one of my favorite.
Probably never seen
movies.
John Wick.
I've never seen Lake House.
I don't know. I just know I can't go under 55 miles per hour.
He was not a dreamboat in Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted 2 actually was the good one. I've not seen the new one.
Oh, that's a bogus response. Come on.
I think I've seen the Lake House though.
It's a lake house.
Terrible.
I know. But I'm here.
Moving. Wild West 08 says, I feel, unless were you going to say something?
No, you can go. I was going to read my response, but you can read yours first.
Okay. Wild West 08 says, I feel like these awards don't have a clear timetable for entrance. I know a lot of people feel Forza 5 got snubbed this year.
Yes.
Remember a year or two ago, Last of Us 2, one after it had been out a while. I could be wrong, though, but it makes the show feel rigged. I thought I read somewhere that it missed the review window by like 2 weeks or something. So I thought I read...
It didn't.
No, there was
it also made another category, which
exactly.
is another part.
Oh, okay.
It won a different award.
It won some technical award, right? Yeah.
It won two different awards. It won best accessibility or something along those lines. I can't think.
Vroom vroom game.
And then it also did win Best Sports Game.
Like, I don't know if it would have, should have won Game of the Year, but I think it definitely should have been a nominee.
It should have been nominated.
It's broken, and it's the same as 4. Move on, guys.
Yeah, but I mean, it could have been nominated. It would have been nice to have been nominated. They don't have to win, but it would be nice to be.
A
nominated.
PlayStation game.
They're
Nice to be noticed.
Gonna win.
There was only like 2 or 3 games this year that got 10 out of 10s across the board from like all the review sites, and Forza was one of them. The game is absolutely amazing. It at least should have been nominated. I don't think it should have won, but it at least should have been nominated.
But going back to what do we think about the award show in general? For me, my favorite part of it are the forced bits that they do when they bring presenters on who have no right to be there and probably aren't gamers and whatever, and then they just have to just awkwardly mumble through the cue cards. Poor Simu Liu. Shang-Chi, he was probably the worst that I can remember. He's the only one I remember.
Was he the one that was pretending he wasn't up there?
He was pretending to be watching Halo footage on his phone.
God, that was the worst.
But when he stopped doing that stupid bit, and pretended to just be, interested in this one, it was kind of funny. But when he was doing his force bit, it was horrible. And that's the stuff that is great. I really just watch it for the hosts on the ID at Xbox show who are so professional. My favorite trailers were, very briefly, Planet of Lana, which is like a different planet Limbo-like. Then Somerville, which is a post-apocalyptic Limbo-like. So I like those Limbos. Chia, which is basically you're an adorable body snatcher. Pretty cool. The Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League looks like it's going to be amazing. It's not Batman, but it's going to be great. Gollum looks like Abe the Mudokan more than he does a greasy-haired ancient twisted hobbit. And it looks like you're going to be doing performing adorable murders. It's going to be great. Let's see. Have a Nice Death. I did not see the trailer for that, but just in doing the research, that looks amazing. It looks like a Death's Door 2D Dead Cell type combat. Awesome game.
It looks good.
I'm really looking forward to that. It said March 22 for Steam. I don't know if there's going to be a console version. I really hope. And then Steel Rising. You're basically a Victorian murder robot. That seems kind of cool. So a lot of cool stuff that I wasn't. I guess 3 of those, right? 3 of those I was not aware of were games, and got to see some cool trailers for them. So, and I think there was some gameplay in there.
There is some gameplay in the Def game. Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely gameplay there. I thought Steel Rising had some gameplay too, but
I don't remember that game at all.
Okay, well,
so I can't say for that one. But for our last patron response, KT Echo says, I'm going to go on a tangent and complain about Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to Epic reveal. Xbox is always going on about trying to get the Japanese audience, yet they've been dragging their feet on Final Fantasy XIV for years and are seemingly doing nothing to get the remake of one of the most popular RPGs of all time. 100% agree. I thought for sure that when that trailer finished up, it was going to have an Xbox logo on there, and it did not. I
disagree.
I know you guys don't care about it whatsoever, but I am very disappointed. I've really been wanting this thing to come to Xbox, and if it's not going to come to Xbox, then I'm going to have to find the PlayStation version of it, or maybe play on a computer or something. But I really, really was hoping this game was going to come to Xbox.
So I disagree on the comment about like Xbox is always trying to get the Japanese audience, yet they're dragging their feet on this. On Final Fantasy 14 and then nothing for the remake. I mean, how do we know? It may not be an Xbox thing. Like, why wouldn't they want this on the console?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, what makes you think that Xbox is saying, no, don't come over here?
Well, I think that's more what they're saying is, hey, why aren't you doing more to try to get this in there? I mean, unless there is some sort of a marketing deal on the Final Fantasy VII Remake to where it is on Sony and no other platform, or there's like a clause that says it cannot come to Xbox.
Well, we already know that the other platform thing is wrong.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
It's coming-
unless
it's
there's
coming
some
to
sort of a
Epic.
clause, you would think Xbox would be or Microsoft would be trying to get one of the biggest JRPGs of all time on their platform to try to get more attention to it. And a few years ago, probably 2 years ago at this point, Phil Spencer in some sort of an interview was talking about how he wanted to get all the Final Fantasies to Xbox and even in the Game Pass somehow. I know for Final Fantasy 14, the problem there was the monetization of the game, and the director or the creator director or whoever is in charge of it didn't want it on Xbox and PlayStation and all these different platforms without crossplay and also without like Xbox Live and stuff like that. He wanted it to be accessible to everyone, which, I mean, Xbox has made some steps in that. If Final Fantasy 14 is free to play, I'm not entirely sure on that. If it's free to play, you just need like an Xbox, or you don't need an Xbox Live subscription to play it, I don't believe anymore. Or maybe, no, if it's a free to play game, you don't need gold, so it's like there's that one barrier out, so.
I just think that, we could still get this.
We still could.
I mean, maybe it's going to be a surprise on the day that this podcast comes out on the 16th, because that's the day that it goes to Epic Game Store, which is exclusive on PC. And maybe they just bought rights for the trailer to say that, and no other information has come out. It's probably a long shot, but I don't think that it's a set no, this is not coming. But it definitely is a little bit of a downer when you didn't see that. Even myself, having never played probably more than 15, 20 minutes of a Final Fantasy game, I would want this to come to Xbox. I would play it. I would try it out at least.
I don't see you playing this. If it came to Game Pass, I can see you putting like 40 minutes into it and saying, I'm bored.
I would give this a cool $17.
But yeah, I agree. I really wish the remake would come to Xbox. I have no time for an MMO, so I don't care about 14. But as far as my favorite trailers, one that you guys have not mentioned, or probably the only one that hasn't been mentioned yet, is the Metal Hellslinger gameplay.
What a fan.
trailer.
Can't even remember the name.
It was unforgettable.
I'm reading like 2 or 3 different things. Don't multitask late at night. This game, it looks amazing. I don't know if this is up your alley at all. This is absolutely up my alley. It looks like if Doom meets Rock Band. It
looks like Machine Gun Drummer, right?
Sure.
It's rhythm based first person shooting.
Yes.
And you love that Machine Gun Drummer, right?
You have to slay to the beat as you kill things. Along with the music, you score more points, and it's a first person shooter, and it is metal. There's all kinds of big name bands in there. There's Lisa Whiteglues from Arch Enemy is doing vocals for it. Matt Heafy from Trivium, the guy from Dark Tranquility, the chick from Ginger. There's
Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. Come on.
I was getting there. Like, my God, she's your whiz. Give me a second. There's a trailer with the guy from Black Crown Initiative is doing vocals. Look up gameplay for this thing. It is amazing. I cannot wait for this game to come out. The music
is pretty
is absolutely
self-explanatory,
incredible.
because on the stream you scream like a little girl.
I did. I've watched the gameplay trailer for this many a times just because it sounds so good. If you're a fan of metal, like especially death metal, look up the trailers for this. You will enjoy it.
What's up, everyone? This is Matt Heafy, lead.
Hello.
I think I just played some of that.
Yes, you
played some
did.
of Matt Heafy by accident. I was trying to see if there was a date attached on this. I'm not seeing a date.
Nah, there's no
Again, another no dater. And
It was
just drives
supposed to
me
come
nuts.
out in 2021, but then I guess it got Rona'd and now it's 2022, so who knows? It looks like that game BPM that came out a few months ago, but more metal. But yeah, that's the Game Awards.
Oh my
Anybody else
God.
got anything?
Give me Final Fantasy VII Remake so I can
Not
tend to
play it.
play it. I assume you need some sort of real beefy computer to play it. I don't know.
You need more than the piece of toast that you have.
Toast. Is toast a sandwich? Well, I guess if you put something in between it. I don't know if you guys remember. This happened the last one of these things they did a few months ago, where they announced Final Fantasy Pixel remaster of 1 through 6, and then at the end we thought it was going to say Xbox, and then it didn't.
And mobile.
But yeah. They really just it ain't happening, people. I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened already.
I agree.
Nobody wants that anyways.
Yeah, right.
They want it on PC. Nobody wants it on console.
6 is kind of notorious for being the worst Final Fantasy anyway.
All right, move on to someone else, please.
Does anybody else have anything else they want to talk about the Game Awards? All right.
No, I don't think so. Other than I have decided, I've been talking about, our game of awards or whatever, or Chivis, whatever you want to call it. I think I'm going to postpone that till January. I want the full year to come out.
There you go.
So look for that sometime in January.
They're saying Forza 5 has a chance.
Not in my list, but it could make yours.
Not when Dadish is a nominee.
All right. Well, in that case, let's get to the game showcase. Nate, what game do you want to bring?
Oh my gosh, have I told you guys that I like Limbo-like games?
I don't think you have ever mentioned that on the history
might be
of
the first
show.
time I've mentioned that. Yeah. So I played, surprise, a Limbo-like game that I talked about a couple weeks ago on coming real soon, and that is White Shadows. This is developer Monoki Kel. Fonts are hard to read, and publishers Head Up Games and Thunderful Publishing. I had not heard of this until the Thunderful conference went on, their little showcase thing that they did a couple weeks ago, and I was just blown away by this thing. It looked amazing, and it turns out it's pretty good. It's not super amazing. This is not better than Inside. Inside, I think, is on another level from this, but this game is solid, and it's better than some of the other Limbo likes. Yeah, so it's black and white. You play as a little raven-headed girl. I think you are a bird person, and you are basically escaping this oppressive town, and you're just trying to get out and move forward. You can die in all sorts of horrible ways, just like Limbo. You can do little situational things on certain levels to get achievements, and also like Limbo. The other achievements are mostly for getting just through a zone, and then there are achievements for no deaths getting through some of those zones. The good news is they're bugged in the favorable way. They are bugged such that if you die in a section where you're supposed to not die, you still get the achievement.
Oh, that's nice.
That is, yeah, that's true of I want to say that there were 4 or 5 of those. Only one of those really requires you to not die. And it's not that you're dying, it's that you're being seen by a spotlight and then they shoot you. So yes, okay, I guess you are dying. That's the only one where I didn't get it, and I had to go back and try it 2 or 3 more times. Currently, there are 3 achievements. Well, at the time that I played it, there were 3 achievements that were unobtainable. You just couldn't get them. They couldn't trigger them. I'm not sure why. They have since fixed one of those, it seems. There's still 2 that no one has gotten an achievement for, and I will go try those after the show to see if they are possible. And once again, don't really know exactly what's required for those, but maybe it's worth just trying, just giving it a shot. The story is all told through cutscenes, and I turned on, subtitles and everything, and that kind of helped. The music was kind of disappointing because I was expecting new music and cool stuff, but they just played old pieces of classical music. So that was okay, but I was hoping for something more original. That just felt kind of like an easy out, I guess. And some of the cutscenes were not skippable. in the area where you weren't allowed to die, for instance, you basically had to sit through a cutscene before you could do the thing. Or I actually think that might have been that was in an area that I thought the achievement was in. There were two areas that kind of fit the achievement description, and the one I kept trying over and over again was actually the wrong one. I had to sit through like a 2-minute cutscene before I could do every run. So maybe it's good that it was the other one. But yeah, it's kind of a fun game. I hope it comes to Game Pass because it's a little expensive. It's way more expensive than I would tell someone to just go out and get right away. Like, I could tell you to buy Inside for $20 and not bat an eye. Like, that game is so good. This game for $20, I'd say wait for at least half off. But it is a good game if you're looking for a Limbo-like and we're waiting for the next thing from them. This will scratch some of that itch. And that game is White Shadows.
All right. Yeah,
It's interesting. Sorry, Kenny. It's interesting. Just looking at you're my only friend who has played this game, but it looks like no one's completed it. That's because it's hard, but a lot of people got the achievements because it's bugged in the good way. You said.
Well, there's 3 unobtainables. Just have not been able to get them. I died. Okay, so the 3 that you can't get right now, were catching a chick and taking it with you. There's a little chicken, and you have to grab it and take it with you. It doesn't really tell you where to do that, but it says catch the first chick. So I'm assuming it's the first time you see a chick in the game. And there's another one for doing. It looks like a situational one where like, okay, I kind of messed up, but I messed up in a funny way, so therefore that's an achievement. And the last one is for dying every way possible. Now, there's no achievement tracking, so you can't tell if, I have to find just one unique death somewhere. You just kind of have to try to die everywhere. And you're like, okay, well, is a squish by a thing a unique death if it's, from above versus from the side? Is that the same death? Is that a different death? I don't know. So hopefully they fixed it. But like I said, when I did it, there were 3 you couldn't get. And now there's 2 people that have gotten one of those. So either they figured it out and no one else has, or they released an update, and hopefully they fixed all 3. So,
gotcha.
They almost need to make a new genre for this type of a game.
I think they do. I think that TA needs to market this as. I mean, Limbo-like is probably created usually. They probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, but it feels to me like this is at least a subgenre, if not a genre.
Platforming.
Yeah, but it's like a different type of platforming.
Yeah, it's colorless platforming.
No, this game.
You wouldn't put Inside in the same place?
Like Inside and Mario are different.
Well, what are you going to do when Planet of Lana comes out? Or look at Little Nightmares. Little Nightmares is kind of like this. Same sort of subgenre and very colorful. It, at times.
Puzzle.
There's a million games that could go into the platforming genre. This one's a little different.
What do you call it? 2D stroll plane genre?
I'll have to think of something, but the top of my brain is Limbo-like. But I mean, you can say roguelike, and roguelite, and that's named from a game. But people are too old. Only the olds remember that. The youngs don't know what that means. But
listen, friend, if we don't have a lawn mowing genre, you're not getting anything for this.
Oh, we shall see.
Well, at this point, there could be a lawn mowing genre too. It only takes 3 games.
They're good. There are 3 games. I've been tracking it.
All right. Well, in that case, Corey, what have you been playing?
All right. Well, it is only appropriate to start mine with a little bit of music. Yes. It's Halo.
Wait, what music? I don't hear anything.
Don't worry about it. You can edit that part out. I've been playing Halo Infinite. And I'm going to say there are absolutely no spoilers. We're just going to talk about the game. And I am loving this, which means that anybody who loves Halo probably would hate it. And since I don't love Halo, I love Halo Infinite. I'm playing the campaign. It is amazing. I can't wait to go back into it. I'm not super far into it. 6 hours, a little bit more. And I'm having a ball with it. Have any of you guys started the campaign?
No, I've
Not
just
yet.
been playing multiplayer.
Is this a brand new game? What is this?
I've been obsessed with the
Man.
multiplayer.
Okay, well, you need to play the campaign. Let me tell you. You start out and you play a little bit, and
Play it alone.
it's different than traditional Halo. Like, I don't care for traditional Halo where you have mission 1, then you back out menu, cutscene happens, then mission 2. This is so much better. This is open world. Think of Far Cry, but then put Halo in its place. That's what this is. You have an open world map, and it's kind of sectioned off, and you have bases that you need to capture. There are spots of interest on your map where you can go and get upgrade things. So you actually upgrade your, Master Chief. There are unlockables that you can go find, and it's that checklist part there where you can say, all right, I'm just going to focus. I did this last night. I had 45 minutes to play Halo, and I said, all right, I'm just going to clear off all these little parts around the map, and I did that, and I put a waypoint on the map, went to it, and then started just clearing it off as I go, because I'm trying to do, I want to do it all as I do the main story. And as of right now, as we've learned, can't replay things. And some things, very, very few, have achievements tied to them, but they're going to be adding that later, apparently. But it's just so good. It looks good. The guns feel great. I love the grapple hook. I wish you would play this, Kenny.
Spoilers.
So,
There's no spoilers.
Oh,
I'm going to play it. The thing that when I go to play this, I want to have a couple hours dedicated to it, and that way I could actually, dive into it and actually get a legitimate feel for it instead of just playing for 45 minutes or something like that. So after the Game Awards, our Thursday night crew got together and we played some Halo Infinite multiplayer.
yes. Midnight Halo.
And I asked Prue, because him and I are kind of on the same page when it comes to Halo and how we think about the campaigns and whatnot. I asked him, what do you think of the campaign? Because he had been playing it for a couple hours, and he said it's good. He really liked it. And when he said that, I went, ooh, that gives me some hope. Because if you listen to this for any length of time, you know that I have absolutely no confidence in 343. I full-on expected this game to bomb. I honestly did not expect this game to come out now. I anticipated another delay. So, good job, 343. You did that. But I will say the multiplayer is amazing. It is so much fun. Hearing Prue say that he's enjoying it and he says that it's good, that gives me some confidence. You saying it's good means absolutely nothing because you have your opinion that Halo means nothing to me. But I'm glad that you're having fun.
Anything to do with Halo, though.
That's awesome.
I like it's just the gameplay that they give you is new. It's different. And
what did you think of Halo 4?
I don't even remember Halo 4.
Okay, never mind. I thought you said that you liked it before.
But it's not open world. I know that. And you have to pick and choose where you go. The open world part is what I love. I can get into a Far Cry. I started Far Cry with Far Cry 3. Loved Far Cry 3. Really liked Far Cry 4. Far Cry 5 was okay. But this just puts it in that open world aspect where you can just pick and choose what you do. And you can choose, today I'm not going to do side quests. I'm going to do my main story. I'm going to progress that. Or today, I just want to, mop up this part of the map. I love that gameplay mechanic. And throwing it into the Halo universe, I think, is a really, really good fit.
See, and that's part of the reason why I said I want to make sure I have a few hours to be able to dedicate to it. Because it's open world. If this was a traditional Halo, I would have played it already because I can do 2 missions and stop. It's no big deal. But this being open world, whenever I play an open world game, I really dive into the open world and explore this, explore that. It's oh, what's over here? How far can I go? That mountain, can I climb it? That's just how
This
I
game
play
definitely
Overlord.
does that. It's definitely
And that's what makes me
I'm just gonna
excited
do
for it.
one more thing. I'm gonna do one more thing, and it just keeps like the time you're done. It's super late o'clock, and yeah, you got to go to bed. But I think that's a good thing.
So there's no traditional levels, or you could just choose which level you want to go to at any given time.
There's no load up level 1 or anything like that. It's just you load into the sandbox, and then you look at the map and choose where you want to go. And
They were saying, I think they were saying somewhere that that's going to make getting certain achievements difficult. Like you might have to start over in the campaign to get those until they offer some sort of replay feature or something like that, which they currently don't have.
Right. But I mean, you're going to probably play the campaign several times if you're getting for the achievements.
Yep.
You got to do it on probably super hard, stupid hard mode, whatever. I'm playing on normal mode. I'm just kind of casually going through it.
That was my next question.
Yeah, I don't really see that as a problem. And like Koosh said, that's going to come eventually. And it's a very small amount of achievements that it's missable.
Yeah, there are missable achievements. So unless you're using a guide or what have you, you are going to miss some things as you can't replay it. I could be wrong, but from my take, is this kind of like how Borderlands is set up, where it's like it's open world, you could go wherever, do this mission, do that thing, but once you do X story mission, you can't go back and do it again.
I think that's what people were saying.
Yeah, like once you do the main mission, I don't see a way to re-trigger that, because you're just progressing. Like if you've never played a Far Cry or a Just Cause, that's what this reminds me of. And the main story is that part's done, so it's not like you just go back and fight a boss that you've already defeated.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was kind of giving that to El because I don't really think he's played a Far Cry or Just Cause. But I know he's played Borderlands.
Like the first boss, like when I played this game, it was on launch day, and Xbox Live was really crapping out as far as achievements goes. But I didn't care, and I figured everything would pop. And they say everything was going to pop, but I don't know if everything will. The first boss has an achievement tied to it, and I didn't get that. So I'm going to have to play at least a couple hours on a new save at some point and get that. That's fine. I really don't care, but I don't see a way that I can go and trigger that now on my current save.
See, having to play the campaign over and over again isn't a big deal for me, because I'm going to play it on normal my first go around just to get the experience. Then I'm going to play it again eventually in co-op. Then I'm going to play it again eventually in Legendary. So it's a Halo game. I'm going to play it multiple times.
Now, one thing to note, I saw that there's exploits. There are Easter eggs and exploits that apparently make the game very simple to do. Well, not very simple, but much more simple to complete on Legendary. Is that the difficult? Is that the highest difficulty getting Legendary?
Yes.
Okay, so to beat the game on Legendary in under whatever time, like you'll want to use these Easter egg weapons or whatever. Apparently, they make it really trivial. And that might be patched out. I don't know if that's going to be patched out. Maybe that was intentional. Maybe that wasn't intentional.
I know nothing.
Yeah,
about that.
there's a part of the game with the grapple hook. So you like this is like really like Halo RPG, because you get new things for your suit and you upgrade them. And the first thing you get, it's not a spoiler because it's in multiplayer. I love that. Is the grapple hook. And one of the upgrades of that is like you can shoot it 40% faster. And so I don't know if they're going to patch that out, but it makes it really easy to escape. And with Halo, you just got to get out of the line of fire for 5 seconds and you start regenerating your health. I haven't really had to do that, but it does make traveling up something like a mountain fun and doable, because I can kind of as soon as I use that grapple hook, I use the momentum to kind of fly up a little bit. But by the time I'm starting to descend, I can shoot that grapple again. And hopefully they don't nerf that. But yeah, I can definitely see where some of those things would be beneficial in a Legendary run. I have not looked up any of the other glitches, other than I've seen somebody like fly across the map. I assume that's helpful in some way.
Sure, of course.
That sounds fun.
I'm having a blast with it.
Don't look at your screen. I have random interesting trivia.
Okay.
So How many? Don't look at your screen. How many starters do you think Halo Infinite has now?
262,373.
Okay. And he's looking at the screen. He's looking at the screen.
I want to say
I was looking to see if he was reading as he was making up that number.
I wasn't,
last
but we
week,
asked last week, and it was
about
like
that last-
250-ish.
They were
Yeah.
all, that and Forza both had 240 something thousand.
Yeah, I actually kept tabs on it for a few days, and I was like, well, not a lot of people are playing this past the campaign launch. So a lot of people who were going to play it dived into the multiplayer. So thought that was interesting.
yeah, most people play
You look.
it for the multiplayer, so that's not super surprising.
Well, I didn't tell you the answer yet.
What is it?
It's actually 298,000 now. So
That
means
is a larger jump than I would have expected.
that means a good 50,000 people waited for the campaign.
That's
It
also
took that long to download.
It's
That's
only
all.
like 40 gigs, 40 something gigs.
I just found that interesting.
And it is interesting. Thank you,
I'm sure
Elle.
some people only care about the campaign, I'm sure. And they don't care that it's part of a 1600, whatever the hell they did, gamer score.
So, L, is there any chance you're going to play the single player?
Yes, I want to.
I did not expect that answer.
I was actually going to do it today, but
Oh, you should. It is Rocker stamp of approval. Not game. Well, it might be game of the year contender. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to beat the game before the end of the year.
There's
But
I'm
no
really
way
good.
this is going to be.
hold on, I have an
here.
important question. Will Big L get lost?
Yes, he will.
I mean,
I
but
haven't
mean,
even played it. I could tell you, yes.
The
It's an
map-
open world game.
You have
Easy
a
to
map in this one, so yeah, it's easy,
You're-
it's easy to read. The only thing
You
I
said
would
waypoints.
say that they can improve on it is like the radar is there, like traditional Halo, but it just is a radar. It doesn't actually. It's not a mini map. I wish it was a mini map.
It's a
You know what a
motion
waypoint?
sensor.
Do you know what a waypoint
Whatever.
is?
I know what a waypoint is. There's waypoints in the game.
Oh, well, if there's waypoints and there's a map system, then yeah, Big L is going to get lost.
Is there GPS? Turn by turn?
Is there fast travel?
Yes, there is fast travel,
Oh, all right. I should be okay then.
but you have to unlock it
Oh.
to the
Well, in that
different
case-
places.
He'll get lost.
Damn it, Kenny.
You know I'm not
And
wrong.
just
You're
a
not
piece
wrong.
of trivia, and I don't know if this was like in other Halo games. My secondary weapon is always my pistol. I am very
Yes.
hesitant on dropping my pistol. That thing is so good, and it feels so good in the hand.
The pistol definitely feels good. It's nowhere near as good as the pistol from Halo 1. But
But yeah, Halo Infinite, it's super good. I'm enjoying it thoroughly.
Hello and welcome to a very, very special segment with me, your favourite neighbourhood Wookiee, Chewy and Ice, and the man, the legend, Mr. Freemhole. Freemhole, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, good. How are you doing, Mr. Baka?
I am doing very good. It feels like it's been a year, almost a year.
It has
pretty
been
much.
just about a year. There's a nip in the air, nice, cold, brisk weather, and it's about time that we have our annual chat by the fire.
Oh, yeah, I've got the logs burning, marshmallows melting. I've got some mulled wine. Do you guys do mulled wine over there?
I drink wine. I don't know what mulled wine is.
Mulled wine. Oh, it is hot spiced wine.
Sounds like a brandy.
Yeah, I mean, you like a grape juice. Imagine like a hot grape juice. or
Is there
something like
alcohol?
that. Yes, but
Oh, yeah, okay.
minimal. I think the heat, the cooking cooks a lot of that off, so it's actually fairly low alcohol content. But
Well, that's just a waste of time.
I mean, you can have like a hot apple cider as well. That's an option.
Ooh, I do have a lot of hot apple ciders. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, similar vibe. So or we could just have a whiskey. Why not?
Bingo. So yeah, it's been a year since we last chatted, and of course the 12 days of Christmas at TA has just concluded, and I just couldn't leave the community without unwrapping just one more gift.
They are a greedy bunch. They always want more.
Absolutely. So we absolutely should talk about the new Freemholes Completion Challenge for 2022.
Before we get into that, we should probably remind people exactly what is Freemholes Completion Challenge 2022. Let's assume we've got some new people around who have no idea what we're talking about right now.
They probably don't even know who I am.
Who even are you? So, Freem, give us. You've got 10 seconds. Give us a quick recap rundown. What is Freemholes Completion Challenge?
So my completion challenge, Freemhole. I'm the old host of Zed to Zed. If you guys don't know, if you're new to the community and etc. And there's ramblings about that podcast here and there. And I'm a big fan of getting completions. I feel like that guides my gaming, tells me when a game is complete, and I can put it on the shelf and get rid of it. So I've come up with a challenge that helps frame some of that work in order to guide your gaming experience, much like the random to-do list and etc. So the 2021 version has been 6 years. So 2022 will be the 7th year I've been doing this. And it's kind of grown in scope each and every year to kind of where it's in its nice sweet spot right now. There are 4 distinct challenges that gamers have to work for, and the first one, probably the most popular one, this is the one I started with, are called the categories. And there are 30 individual categories in which you need to complete a game. And so this specific year had it was pretty challenging. It was a challenging list this year, and there's a couple standouts for sure that gave people fits. I'm probably going to end up completing it this year. I'm not quite there yet, but I will have it done. I have 2 games I need to complete yet to lock in on this one. I did complete a game yesterday, except it glitched. The Ukulele and the Impossible Lair unlock all achievements achievement decided not to unlock.
Oh, is it flagged as a buggy one, that one?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
100%.
Okay, it's a known
The
thing.
forums are rife with people who have been burned. And I've got the stock response from the Team 17 support group saying, we're very much aware of it, and good luck, you'll never see that again. I don't think that's how it read. That's what I read in my head. I'm a little dyslexic. So I have to audible on that one, and thankfully, I was using that one for the padding the word count, where you need to complete a game whose title contains at least 5 words. And I will use Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls Ultimate Evil Edition.
Well, that's a big one. That's not
Plenty of words on that one. And I'm just a few achievements away. I've got everything leveled up. We've already transitioned our team over to the Xbox One version. So I just need to hit level 70 on the last 2 characters. And I will have that done. And then the last one, it would be Night and Day. And I'm going to complete the game Night Book, which is a visual novel, simply just going through the motions on that one.
Nice and simple. Now, it should be said that for your completion challenge, this is a kind of light, fun kind of background
Super
thing.
fun.
It's not a really intense contest.
It's not intended to be.
So if you were to, I'd imagine, if somebody said to you, look, Freem, I completed this game all apart from this one glitched achievement. Can I have this one, please? You might let it slide. So, I mean, if you asked me, I'd say you get ukulele, personally. But obviously, if you want to be a stickler and you want to give that yourself the right credit, then that's fine. But if you were doing this as part of the BCM, which your categories are used as part of, so anyone who's doing the BCM might recognize some of these. They are used in that. Then obviously, yes, you would have had to have completed the game. But if you're just doing it for fun on the side, then maybe you might let that one go.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I've already talked to Iron about it, and I am intending to use this for BCM, and it will not count. So I do need an audible, which, again, and like you said, it's totally light and breezy. If someone is hearing about Freemholes Completion Challenge 2021 for the first time on this podcast, I mean, there is a link. You can go back and look and see what you did over the year and see how many you can check off if you happen to be a completionist. Like you said, there's absolutely no barrier to entry here. It is.
And actually, that's a lot of people's style is wait until the end of the year, then go back and see what fits. See if you can backfill the list, which you will be able to do if you complete a lot of games. I'm sure you could fill a good chunk of it naturally.
I'm pretty sure Mental Knight has it done.
He probably has it done just on this month alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, similar to you, I started this back in 2019. So I did 2019, 2020. I completed both of those lists. This one, though, is the first one where I'm not entirely certain I will get the whole thing. And it's because of one challenge. And I'm not alone in this. This has been a sticking point for a few people. I asked people in the community, and EOJ mentioned it as one that he struggled to get. There's only a few games out there. And that's Fug Knows Best, completing a game whose title contains no vowels. And EOJ said, expectedly, there were very few games that actually fit this category. Even less of those looked like they'd actually be ones I'd enjoy, and I'd also add ones that could actually be completed. He did a game called 140, which I've not heard on personally.
Oh yeah, I that was on my list initially to do. Turns out it is difficult platforming.
Oof, yeah. I mean, I have one I think a lot of people probably latched onto as soon as it was released, quite late in the year, because it looked like there was no options really, which was Myst. Now, I haven't even started Myst, but Myst is one of my all-time favorite games. I'm very nostalgic about it, so I am planning to play that literally in the last few days of the year. But that game has that speedrun achievement in, which
best of luck with that. Oof. It is difficult.
Yeah, if I do it and I get it done, then the list is complete for me. If I don't, arms may be pulled.
So let me. I can see that. I also used Myst, and let me just walk you through a little bit of the challenge that I faced. I was using my work computer, which is not a good computer, and because the amount of precision you need definitely leans toward mouse and keyboard. And I'm not good with mouse and keyboard, so I was trying my best. The frame rate was just crashing. My system would crash constantly, just couldn't get it done. And I was like, oh boy, I'm not sure how this is going to end up working. So I said, let's try the Xbox Series X. And oh boy, yeah, with that controller, there's no way. I don't even know how it's even possible. So I ended up coming down to my son has his keyboard and mouse plugged into the Xbox in the basement, and so I booted it up down here. It took me a good hour to get enough of the muscle memory down, but you can sure believe there was a serious fist pump when that achievement popped. It was delightful.
Amazing. Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll definitely be giving it a go. There were a few other people actually who chimed in with their own experiences. Arutek, who completed the entire list, he did the BCM version of the list. Now, that doesn't use every single one of your challenges, so that's kind of like the easy version, I'd say, of Freehold's Completion Challenge. But he still managed to do everything. And he struggled with finding ones that fit into different categories, and then he ends up swapping them around a lot. So Blair Witch went from having the one with the dog in the game, and then that got switched into having an animal companion. And then also people, I think, found it a difficulty to find games where there was a law enforcement character, but they weren't military. LA Noire was an option there, and actually LA Noire was also a good option for the Australian developer, which I think people also found interesting because that challenge required some research, trying to find who was an Australian developer. Alex RD pointed out that he actually really enjoyed researching, where did developers come from to figure out, options there. Hollow Knight is also another option for Australia.
I used Moving Out.
Moving Out, that was the one I used as well. It was actually a really cool thing to kind of find out those little details.
Agreed.
About, where do people come from and things. But if you've got literally hundreds of games and you're Googling the developers of these little indie titles, sometimes they're quite hard to track down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every year I've got a spreadsheet, which I'm sure you do as well, and I complete a game, and then you go through the list and make little tallies as to, okay, First game I completed in January, Battleborn. All right, what is that? That has a death character in it. Yes. That has anthropomorphic animals. Yes. That has zombies? No. Yeah, and you just go down the list and you make all these tallies. And then eventually you'll get one that only fits one criteria. And you're like, bam, lock it in, baby. And that shuts all that out. And you just start, by process of elimination, start weeding it down until probably around September you start looking and say, okay, where are the holes that I'm missing here? And try and then get very specific in slotting some things in. But that's worked for me every year, and this year is no different.
But categories wasn't the only challenge that you had out there. You as you say, you've kind of expanded it over the years, and you had a few other fun little challenges tacked on there.
Challenge number 2 was called Developer Diary, and this was finding developers with each letter of the alphabet. And this one, I did not do quite as well. Despite having plenty of completions, I only got 17 of the letters completed. Although, if I look at all of the lists of games I completed, I've got 42 of them on here. There's just, turns out, a lot of studios with start with S or B that I like to do.
So I did a bit better on this. I didn't get the full lot because a few letters only have like 1 or 2 options, and not all of them have good completion options. I got all but 2. So I am missing an X and a Z or a Z. And I think there are options I have for Z, but I don't know if I'll get to them this month, unfortunately.
You're not doing a Zidalon to just quick pound that out?
They're not a developer. They're a publisher.
Oh, they're a publisher. That's right.
So
sneaky gits.
Yes. So I got caught on that one a couple of times, actually thinking, I could. Oh wait, no, that's not. It's not going to count. But I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with getting all but the trickiest of letters. So I'm pretty pleased with that effort.
Super admirable. I left this one as a just kind of not caring piece of it, and just hoped for the best. Since I was focusing so much on the categories, and honestly, Challenge 3 fell into the same boat. And Challenge 3 was the Publisher Bounty Board, and what this was is I made a list of the top 38 publishers as of December 2020, when this was first evaluated. Obviously, this list I'm sure has changed since then, but it has the top 38, of which you needed to get 25 of them. And this was the publishers that essentially published the most games. So obviously number 1 being Microsoft. So any Xbox Game Studios game or Microsoft Studios, followed by Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, Hamster's on there, Activision, and you just go down the list. I only ended up with 14 of these.
That's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. So I did 13 of the top 25. And then I got 4 of your additional ones, 4 of the wild cards.
The bonuses,
so 17 total. It's a tricky one to do. And actually, I'm looking at the list, and I'm quite close on an Artifacts Monday. Oh, wait, no. I completed an Artifacts Monday last night.
Nice.
Oh, 18.
Yeah. I'm pretty
at 18.
Once I finish Focus or Nightbook, I think that's a Focus Home Interactive joint. So
I could imagine I could
whales,
maybe get to 20 by the end of the year, but there's only a couple of weeks left, so it might be tricky. But again, that was a hard one to really actively go for, especially some of those big publishers have only done really big games.
Right, absolutely, and they take a long time to do, right? But some of them, like sometimes if I really wanted to do that, I could probably bust one of those out pretty darn quick. So that was Challenge 3, and then Challenge number 4 is the Random To-Do List Crossover Challenge. And this asks you to get, we up the ante to get 20 different games, and this required you to, wherever your random to-do list fell in the order of the 25, if you finished the game during that month, it would lock in your spot. And I only ended up with 13. Of course, December's not over. I will get one more for December because that happens to be my BCM random game, and so I'll have 14, but just shy of that 20 that I needed.
So I really love this one. I think this is a really great accompaniment to the RTDL, especially if people get frustrated by the nature of the RTDL, where it asks you to pop a random achievement, obviously in a game, but then you kind of end up hopping a lot between those games, and then not pushing any further. And it might be that the achievement that you got is like halfway through, and you just put it back down again. And I think this is a really great challenge to kind of get you to just go, just finish it off while you're there. Just get that completion. Now I play a lot of, quote unquote baby games. A lot of my stuff is quite easy. So I actually did really, really well on this one. And I have got not just 20, I've got the full 25. But nice I have to say that partly that is because I gamed the system in the final month of the year. This month, I decided I really, really wanted that full combo. So I loaded up my pool with easy games. Now, it wasn't this month that got me it. I would have got 20. I think I got 20 back in September or October. So, it wasn't just doing it this way. But this final month of the year, I'm pretty much full comboing on easy games, which also involves completing a lot of, 1 to 2 hour, 2 to 3 hour games. So, I'm gaming the system. I'm cheating it a little bit, but I'm still going to take it as a win.
Hey, you know what? You got all 25. That's fantastic. I was personally proud of. I got the top 5, 21 through 25. Mm-hmm. And those are some long games, or some challenging games like Streets of Rogue, a couple of deck builder games, the year-long Microsoft Sudoku. Just getting those things knocked off and
okay. Well, I am more impressed by that. I'm more impressed by your 13 than my 25. I've got a comment here from Arutek, who actually said he hadn't even seen the RTDL aspect. A lot of people, I think, had seen the categories, the challenges from the BCM side of things. Yeah. But then the additional challenges are new to them. So Arutek actually said, I hadn't seen the RTDL aspect of the challenge last year, but looking at it, it seems like a really interesting way to aim for completions, like I said, especially once you get towards the higher end of the RTDL achievements, or you get lucky at the start of the year, but then some of the other easier achievements could screw you over towards the end. So right. I think he's definitely going to be picking up on that one next year.
And that always kind of, when I would do some of those, I keep my random to-do list pool about at 1,000 achievements, just hovering right there. That's the minimum amount. 1,000 achievements. It ends up being 120-ish games on my ongoing pool. But in my head, it's like, oh, okay, I've got 1 achievement left in Plants vs. Zombies or 2 achievements left in this. I'll just finish it when the RTDL comes up. And in my head, that makes sense. But then you do the math and you're like, oh, yeah, the percentage-wise, that's not likely to come up. So yeah. Good luck on making that lottery ticket hit.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that was 2021, but we're not here just for 2021. It is the end of 2021, which means it's time to start talking 2022. Now, I just announced it today. I was going to give you a sneak peek when we were going to record earlier, but alas, both of us are parents and chose not to remember, or physically were unable to remember that we had a commitment. So you're seeing the list for the first time today. What did you think?
Well, I mean, so as always, I think what really draws me in by this whole challenge is the sheer creativity on display. I really love seeing these unusual categories. They range from clever wordplay, cultural references to the community, just fun little mentions. And again, you've outdone yourself. There's some really, really good stuff. I really like that the first few challenges are animal-based. Yep. Variety of different animals.
Yeah, they ended up getting grouped. So as I made the whole list, I started to look at some similarities between some of these, and I was like, I should group these together, because then when I'm going through my list, it'll make sense of like, okay, does this game have animals? Okay, yes. Then there might be 3 possibilities that would work here. Let's see if these apply.
And I like how some of them actually contradict each other or opposite to each other. So you've got Coonskin Cap, which is actually for a game that involves hunting. So hunting animals, killing animals, skinning, crafting, whatever. Something like your Red Dead Redemptions or your later Assassin's Creed games, Minecraft, yeah. Yep. But then you've also got the Pater Would Be Proud, which is the opposite, which involves a game that has animals in and weapons, but you can't kill any animals.
Which I'm not even sure what those will apply to when I made this. I don't have anything in mind, so I'm really excited to see what people come up with because I don't even know what would apply. I don't think I've done anything in 2021 that would apply to this one this year, so...
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting one. That's one where I think as you're playing and completing games, you'll kind of go, aha, I figured it out. But thinking about it would be really hard to kind of come up with.
I'm now that I'm thinking about it, Enslaved Odyssey to the West does have animals that are flesh that you cannot kill.
I suppose there are lots of games where they add in things like birds and things like that in the background.
Yeah.
But they're not interactable. They're just there to fill out the scenery. So you'll be running through a forest and you'll see birds flying around and things like that. You can't kill any of those birds, but they're there. Yeah,
and so I've shared this list with Iron Fist of Snuff for the BCM. These will also be making an appearance in that list. And he said, and now that I'm going through it, I kind of think I agree. This is probably the hardest list so far. There's some very specific things on here.
Well, there's a lot of wordplay involved, and the palindrome one in particular that got 2 or 3 people that I talked to in the community really excited about that one in particular. So Erotech said, "Love the one for a palindrome," which he suspects probably won't be the easiest of ones to go for.
No, and in my head I thought ACA Neo Geo would be a slam dunk, but if you're doing BCM. To find a 1.2 ratio ACA is near impossible.
Yeah, Mad Lefty also said he really liked the palindrome one, but also the one where you have to get consecutive words of 2, 3, and 4 letters.
2, 3, 4, yeah.
Yeah, smallest to largest as well. That sounds really, really cool. And EOJ said, Garunding with Scissors is probably my favorite challenge name of the bunch. I laughed pretty good at it. Has me smirking now just thinking about it. I don't know why, but I like it. And I agree, that one's a fun one, which is for completing any game that has an ing word in the title.
Which also IN apostrophe would count. That is still a gerund, even though you're choosing not to pronounce the G. Iron Fist liked the fully vaccinated one. He thought that was very fitting given the climate that we live in. So, and I took your comment from last year where you mentioned that you liked the Fug one. So, yeah, we've got some community members.
Oh, yeah, we do. I noticed. Yeah, it's really cool. So, Wakapale gets a mention with a game that involves a title where the letters E and then I occur. So rather than I before E, it's E before I.
Is also very slim pickings. Wolfenstein is on the list. There's also Code Vein. Those are the only ones I found that are remotely close to my game collection, and I'm not sure I can complete any of those. So
interesting. We've also got a Hyzo, so for any game that involves a letter Y and a Z, and yours truly, Cheery on Ice.
You made the list, baby.
Made the list. Oh, I'm really pleased. Complete a game whose title contains a ch, which is just great. Although I was messaging a Hyzo about this, and I pointed out he hadn't seen the list, and I said, "By the way, you should notice that you're in it." And he said, "Oh, don't I feel special?" I then pointed out that he shouldn't feel too special because I'm also in it. To which he responded, "Then my disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined."
Oh, wonderful! Yeah. So, I'm excited for this upcoming year. I love putting these things together. I've already got a dozen for the 2023 list going. So, I like to plan them ahead so I completely forget about them and don't set myself up. Although announcing it early, you got a couple of weeks here to kind of, I like to do it before the big sales, the end of year sales come in case there's a couple of things on here where you're like, oh boy, yeah, I really should I need a game like this, and this is on my list of some fun things to do.
Yeah.
So
I sometimes just put pairing games against the list is the most fun bit. It's like if you're doing RTDL scavenger hunt, some of the most fun that you can have in that is just the whittling of figuring out what the possible achievements are on your list. Even more fun than actually playing the games and
100%.
unlocking the achievements. And Death Dealer's picked up on that as well. She said that she generally gets excited for the first 3 months of the year, spending hours planning it all out. And figuring out what games to use, but the actual execution, the actual planning and completing of the games themselves is the bit that actually needs work.
It's hilarious, and I do the same thing, especially since, and I'll jump ahead a little bit because we already talked about it. Challenge number 4 again this year is the RTDL crossover. We're keeping everything the same, the 20 that you need. I mean, nothing's changing from that standpoint, and exactly what you do with the scavenger, I do the same thing, and I make the list. And not only do you kind of narrow down the bands, you also look at, okay, so this one, it's one of the top 3 ratioed achievements, which means it's not going to get any higher on the list. So I should try and complete this one for the RTDL and lock this one in, as well as, getting all, whatever and whatever. And so, just all this cross-pollinating as it happens, and you make your hit list for the month of like, okay, these 3 games, 100, these have to get taken down this month. Like, this is super important, and I absolutely love doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so moving on to your second challenge, a very freeing challenge.
Absolutely it is. And of course, if anyone is not familiar, I happen to fancy myself a zombophile. Each challenge so far has had a zombie-related achievement or game, category, where I cleverly hide the number in there. We're on, obviously, zombies number 7. And so challenge number 2 is very specifically targeted towards zombies and enemies in the games that you play. Now, these obviously don't have to be zombie enemies. You can play a game with robots, you can play a game with humans, you can play a game with whatever. The point is to identify these common zombie tropes and find enemies that fit. So we'll start with the number 1 here, Brainless Horde. And this is completing a game that contains swarms of enemies. So for instance, the game Anthem has these clouds of bugs that come out of a hive, right? That would count as a swarm of enemies, even though they're not zombies. If I completed Anthem, I could lock it in for this one. The Fast Zombies complete a game that contains enemies that chase the player character and has a homing path, such as a heat-seeker. So like a heat-seeking missile, or a bullet bill kind of enemy. Those would count here for Fast Zombies. So I've got a list of 20 of these common tropes, very akin to the Left 4 Deads, the Walking Deads. You've seen these in every zombie game that's ever existed. And so it's going to be kind of fun to try and remember the enemies you fought in those games, to see what applies here.
Yeah, so definitely this is something that will require some kind of a little bit more active thinking and remembering what went into the game. And just to reiterate, it doesn't have to be a zombie game. It can be any type of game as long as it contains an enemy that matches these tropes, as you say, that appear in your Left 4 Dead type games. I like the gas bag one, so like the boomer. So an enemy that involves it exploding when it dies in some way and damaging the player with status effects. So trying to think of a game where I killed the guy and he exploded. That's going to work for that.
Right,
for that
but
challenge.
then did that explosion poison me or have a damage over time effect? Because that applies to gas bag. But if he just explodes and hurts you, that's the boomer one.
Oh, yes.
So there's 2 distinct, and again, you see those tropes in absolutely everything.
And ideally as well, people will be doing different games for each of those, right? So you can't use the same game across multiples.
Correct. That is correct. So for instance, I just completed Ukulele in the Impossible Lair. That has heat-seeking enemies, that has enemies that hide and jump out, that has enemies that are tanks, that has enemies that explode when they die. I mean, it would only count for one of those.
So if I completed Left 4 Dead, I wouldn't be able to tick off the whole list, basically.
Correct.
Yeah,
You'd have to pick which one makes the most sense to you. Just like you would do with your normal categories, probably get the list and say, all right, how many of these enemies are in here? And then when you get down to the end, you start slotting them in.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Alex R. Davis actually commented that he thought maybe you could have a bonus if people managed to do it without a single zombie game, so entirely
That'd be impressive.
Non-zombie.
That would be super impressive. Yeah, it had crossed my mind to do only zombie games as well to just make it easy, but that's a lot of zombie games.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if there even are that many, are there? Well, probably, but maybe not completable in a year.
Right. So that brings us to challenge number 3. And this is similar to some of the other challenges we've done in the past, but the trick here is it's called multi-genre madness. And what this one is again, we're looking at games genres, but the only way you can tick one of these off is if that game is a multi-genre game, which means it has at least 2 individual genre tags associated with that. Now, in order to fill this thing out, we're looking for 25 of them. There are 54 genre tags, so there's lots to go around. I will say I did not do the homework to go through and see if everything is possible. It is very likely that there's no multi-genre visual novels. Maybe a point-and-click visual novel, but I don't know.
I can tell you that there is at least one visual novel point and click, and that is My Aunt is a Witch.
Okay.
But they are few and far between, I
Few
think.
and far between. So suffice it to say, some of these may not be attainable, but the example I use here is Mutant Year Zero. That is genre tagged as stealth, strategy, and turn-based. So you could use that game for any of those 3, but not all 3. You would need to find 2 other games that would fit those. So if you have a strategy turn-based game, you would need to at least complete 2 strategy turn-based games. One could apply to strategy, one could apply to turn-based, etc. So
that's an interesting twist. So you had the genre challenge 2 years ago,
yes.
Which was purely just try and complete as many different genres as possible, regardless of multi-genres or anything like that.
I think it was actually encouraged. Didn't I allow if you got a multi-genre to check?
You're right. You could tick off multiples with one game. Yeah, so this is like the opposite. This is like hard mode.
This is hard mode.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And again, that's the kind of thing where if you do play a lot of games and complete a lot of games, you might do a lot of it naturally, but then you'd be trying to figure out what the best possible combination is to knock out the most different genres, right? So, this one works better for racing because if I put it into stealth, then that will mean that there are fewer options for
right.
You're trying to figure it out.
And this one, this one very much appeals to my style of gaming. I'm so much of a variety player. I love to have so many different experiences and dabble in a lot of different things. So I think this one's going to be really fun for me. But if you're like, hey, I'm a shooter, action adventure kind of person, this one's probably going to be pretty tricky for you because you just might not want to play an arcade racer this year. Or a dungeon crawler, etc. So, if that's the case, hey, sorry, maybe you just skip challenge 3. But I'm looking forward to this. I like the variety.
Absolutely, I think it's a good one to go for, and it'll be interesting to see how well people do as the year progresses.
Yes, sir. So yeah, that's Freemhole's Completion Challenge 2022.
That's brilliant. If anyone's been listening to this and is really interested in what we've been talking about and wants to know more, the message went up today, that's the 13th, in the VCCCW channel of the AH101 Discord. If you're not already in that channel, you can go to Roll Assignment and use the little Chewy emote, which will give you access to that channel, and you'll find the post about this in the pins, as well as a link to the document with all of the details about these challenges. Now, this is something that we don't track for you. It's not something that you have to report in for. This is just something that you can do in your own time, in your own way, and then keep kind of messaging Freem saying, hey, Freem, does this count for this? Does this count for that? Which you love, don't you?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I like it when someone asks me, because typically this happens in the BCM, and they say, hey, Freem, would you count this one? And I would say yes, and then Iron says no. Like,
yes,
hey, you're a little too loosey-goosey with... So you can count it for yours, but not for mine.
Yeah, so if you're in the BCM, obviously these categories are going to be front and center, and you'll be seeing these, and it's a more competitive version of that challenge. So you can do it your own way. You can do it in the BCM way, but if you just want to do it the free and easy way, the Freem and easy way,
hey,
you can just do it your own way. I will say that in previous years we've kind of just let people do their own thing, and then by the end of the year we've gone, hey, this is a thing. How did everyone do? And then there's a mad scramble to figure it all out. But I think this year we're going to play it a little bit differently. For anyone who knows, and I've mentioned it a few times, the VCCCW is kind of coming to an end in its current form. We're kind of decommissioning and hanging up our kind of challenge hats, so to speak. But that's in order to make the channel a little bit more democratic and allow for more community challenges to come from other areas and spotlight things like Freemhole's challenge, Skeptical Mario's various crazy challenges that he does, the derp, and so on. So rather than having the monthly events all the time, I think what we're going to do is throw a little bit more spotlight on these kind of things. So I'd love, Freem, if you'll have me to maybe checkpoint at a couple of times in the year and do some more updates on how people are doing and make a little bit more hype throughout the year.
I like it. It's a great idea, and certainly, as someone who I've been on the community events team at True Achievements now for, boy, I don't even remember, but trying to come up with the 12 days every year, it gets harder and harder to not repeat things, and so some people get some really creative ideas, and and different people play different ways, so it's always great to have a new, fresh perspective on any of these kind of challenges. Completion or not.
And I think that's where we as a community can really shine, because True Achievements, God bless them, they have some amazing events, but they have to appeal to a very massive community. We're talking literally tens of thousands of people. So you can't be too niche and you can't be too creative. It can be a struggle to make something that's really creative but works for enough people. But thankfully, in our smaller communities, we're a bit freer to go crazy.
The amount of vitriol we got when we put in a racing challenge in last year's 12 days, you would have thought we said burn your Xbox to the ground. It was unbelievable to simply ask someone to get 2 achievements in a racing game. So yes, it's you can't appeal to all the people all the time.
Well, brilliant. Well, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
And like I say, hopefully we'll be able to do a checkpoint. Well, let's not make it a year again, Freem.
Sounds like a plan. I will also add, Iron Fist is going to open up his registration for BCM for next year, like you said, is a little bit more competitive. I don't treat it as more competitive. I just like more categories. And so I've seen his list of categories for next year. They're very good. I'm excited. His are, I would consider, way more hard than mine. But if you like this style of completing things and having some fun in this regard, consider signing up for that. There's a brief window with when registration is open, so if you don't get into it before maybe the end of the year, I don't think it goes quite that long, but you've got like a 2-week window there. If you're interested in seeing more, you can always just get the list and work on them on your own, like I would do for this anyway. So want to throw that out there, is if you do enjoy this type of challenge, there is plenty to go around.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Season's greetings, and we'll catch up in the new year.
Absolutely. Catch you guys later.
Hello and welcome to Waka's Weird Wonders. This time looking back on a game few have even heard of, One Dog Story. I picked this up thinking it might be a Metroidvania. It is not. It is a narrative-driven, pixel art run-and-gun exploration 2D platformer adventure, which, according to the developers, Big Way Games, has RPG elements. It does have a branching story, depending on some of your actions and choices in the game, with 5 different endings requiring at least 2 playthroughs for the completion, but I personally would omit the RPG label. One Dog Story is a very ambitious game. Unfortunately, it might have been a bit too ambitious for its developers, with some parts of the game feeling a bit half-baked, but with more than enough content to warrant its $15 price tag. Its at first glance high price is probably why One Dog Story only has 125 starters on TA. The fact only 4 players have ever completed it since its release in July of 2020 is likely another, with not a single completion in 2021. One Dog Story has 31 achievements worth 1000 game score and 2900 TA, and it takes around 10 hours to complete. It's not an easy completion, but the 2.9 ratio is higher than I expected, but as so few have played it, the ratio is volatile. One Dog Story tells the tale of a dog who escaped the destruction of the surface together with his master and a bunch of other humans. After several years living in an underground bunker, the dog wakes up alone as a dog-human hybrid with plenty of questions, many of them shared by the player. The underground bunkers have been overrun by mutant spiders and other creatures. At this stage, the game very much appears to be a Metroidvania, with an interconnected level to explore, gathering equipment and weapons. As I mentioned, this turns out not to be the case, as you'll soon learn there are plenty of points of no return, with some linear levels and some more open areas requiring exploration. Along the way, you'll meet many colorful characters inhabiting the post-apocalyptic bunkers, offering hints at what is going on and why you've been turned into a humanoid dog. It's a very strange tale, which starts off intriguing, completely defying my expectations, but the end game goes completely bonkers in a way I'm not sure I liked. One Dog Story has 3 stackable difficulty achievements. Since it requires 2 playthroughs for the completion, I recommend doing the first playthrough blind, experiencing the story and enjoying the game. Hard is rather difficult, but not impossible, while easy is very much easier. I played my first run on hard, but it might be easier to do it the other way around. Most achievements are story-based, with a few missables along the way, mostly collectibles and ending-based achievements. As there is no level select, and the game does not telegraph its points of no return, it is easy to miss stuff if you do not follow a guide. Most endings can easily be obtained by reloading the last save, defeating the final boss, then choosing different dialogue choices, but some of the endings won't be available as they are determined by choices made earlier in the game. There's also a rather bad bug in the dialogue after defeating the final boss. If you use A to progress text, you automatically make a choice determining the ending without even seeing the question. This can be circumvented by skipping text using the start button, or menu button, which it is actually named but never called. Speaking of glitches, there are unfortunately quite a few in One Dog Story. Most are rather harmless, but there is one potentially game-breaking bug near the end of the game, which can checkpoint you as the world collapses under you, making it impossible to complete the game without replaying it entirely. One Dog Story is certainly not perfect, but there is nothing quite like it. While the moment-to-moment storytelling of One Dog Story makes sense, I still don't understand the bizarre endgame, what happened to the world, and what becomes of a certain very important character in the story, even after playing through the game twice. The game offers plenty of mysteries, but it is not very concerned about giving the player answers, at least not in a straightforward fashion. One Dog Story is occasionally discounted in a bundle featuring Big Way Games' other release on Xbox, Lou's Revenge, which, according to its blurb, features Lou, the son of Satan, fighting a human corporation in hell. I'm cautiously optimistic about that one. I've heard mixed opinions about Lou's Revenge in the Discord. Have a nice day, everyone.